Investigators say Alex Murdaugh hired Smith to shoot him, had his bond revoked today. So Murdaugh's surviving son could collect a $10 million life insurance policy.
A judge has now granted bond for the man who was indicted on multiple charges last summer.
Hello, True Crime Stories family. Welcome back. Charges are still pending against cousin Eddie Smith, but there are no hearings or trial dates yet due to his current illness. Since his imprisonment last year, his health has deteriorated rapidly. He is currently unable to walk on his own. Since last April, cousin Eddie has been undergoing dialysis for his kidney failure. Dialysis is a life-saving treatment that helps his body perform vital functions like removing waste and excess fluids from the blood. With confidence, cousin Eddie's lawyer recently told us that by this summer, all his legal troubles will be resolved. Will the charges pending against him be dropped? This is a recent interview on Banfield with his lawyer from last week.
So curious as to what the status is of cousin Eddie's case and whether he's going to be seeing a courtroom and saying all sorts of things that are going to make people clutch their pearls.
That's always been the million-dollar question with Eddie. Where I can tell you where he stands right now, he is experiencing some pretty serious health issues. In fact, I was just speaking with him today. So, it's our goal to have everything wrapped up by the summer. We're shooting for May. There's a term in Hampton County in May. So we're shooting to try to get it resolved.
I am always curious what that means, get it resolved. Is he looking to strike a plea bargain whereby he tells a lot of stuff that the rest of us, including maybe the police, didn't know before?
He has been cooperating. He has told quite a bit of information and remains at the disposal of the state, meaning that he has been working with them, specifically the Assistant Attorney General, John Metters, has been really spending some time in his case. I don't anticipate, to be quite honest, I don't anticipate any of his cases going to trial. I certainly don't anticipate the roadside shooting. And I use the air quotes because it as he has told his truth over and over, it's really, it was really another kind of Murdaugh scheme, something that he set up that he wanted people to believe that has turned out not to be remotely true. And I think that case will probably go away.
That's what I'm curious about. Is it possible that what cousin Eddie says to the police may result in yet another charge for Alex Murdaugh about that roadside shooting?
I don't, it could, it certainly could. And that's all I know about that. I know it certainly could. At this point, is it piling on? Wow. I mean, we've got a lot of time. He's got a lot of time, hopefully behind bars. But it's certainly another insurance time.
Well, you've left me with something to think about. So let's make a date again as this progresses and weaves its way through, as you mentioned, being wrapped up by hopefully the summer. Amy Zimmercheck, thanks as always for being on.
Thank you, Ashley.
Cousin Eddie was indicted in late 2021 on drug and money laundering charges, as well as charges related to Alex Murdaugh's September 2021 roadside shooting insurance scam. He was released on bond last year, 1 month after Alex was convicted for the deaths of Maggie and Paul. Like Spencer Roberts and Jerry Rivers, cousin Eddie was involved in Alex's drug distribution network. Cousin Eddie was a frequent check casher in the money laundering schemes. Cousin Eddie is currently out on bond. Last year, Judge Newman agreed to reinstate his $250,000 bond and release him on house arrest. Cousin Eddie said while locked up, he gained 55 pounds, his glucose sugar levels were off the charts, and his blood pressure was off the charts. He also has titanium rods and screws in his back that cause severe back pain from a back injury that he couldn't get treatment for in prison. Cousin Eddie's release came with strict bond conditions, including a GPS monitor and home confinement. Except when going to work, church, the grocery store, and medical appointments, Judge Newman stressed that should he violate those conditions, the court would meet Cousin Eddie with no deviation, no leniency, and no latitude in any way. Cousin Eddie affirmed he understood the judge's warning. I understand the significance of these cases as tied in with Alex Murdaugh, and I totally understand the importance of the letter of my bond, Smith told Judge Newman. Once I get on my property, no one going to drag me off. A few weeks after Cousin Eddie was released from prison, his attorneys Amy Zimrochek and Jarrett Bochette went to court on his behalf. He was not present in the courtroom due to health problems. Zimrochek told the court that the week before, Cousin Eddie, who had been suffering from ongoing health issues, was admitted into the intensive care unit. When he was released from the hospital, he had become immobile and had to start dialysis. The state indicated it wished to delay Cousin Eddie's criminal trial. His attorneys hinted at the possibility of a plea agreement. Life is unpredictable, and it can change in the blink of an eye. Cousin Eddie was just walking at his bond hearing, but just a few weeks later he was hospitalized and unable to walk, fighting for his life. This serves as a reminder to always cherish the present moment and never take anything for granted. These are some of the crimes Cousin Eddie is charged with. If the pending charges are dropped, he will dodge a bullet because his indictments carry the following classifications and penalties. Criminal conspiracy is a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison or a fine up to $5,000. Money laundering of $100,000 or more is a felony punishable by up to 20 years and a fine of up to $250,000 or twice the amount at issue. Forgery of $10,000 or more is a felony punishable by up to 10 years in prison or a fine in the discretion of the court. Forgery of $10,000 or less is a felony punishable by up to 5 years in prison or a fine in the discretion of the court. Manufacturing, distributing, and possession of a narcotic, Schedule II, is a felony punishable up to 2 years in prison or a fine up to $500. Trafficking methamphetamine is a felony punishable by 3 to 10 years in prison and a fine up to $25,000. Possession of controlled substance, Schedule II, is a felony punishable by up to 6 months in prison or a fine up to $1,000. Simple possession of marijuana is a misdemeanor punishable by up to 30 days in prison or a fine between $100 and $200. We hope that Cousin Eddie makes a speedy recovery. In May, he will find out his fate. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe.